Okay, so now we understand all that, let's talk a little bit about what we can do. So, firstly, let's look at our triggers for insulin. So, insulin, things that are going to trigger insulin are sugars. So, that might be carbohydrates, it might be starchy carbs, or it could just be sugar. Now, everything called sugar is sugar. So it might be maltodextrin, it might be cane sugar, it might be palm sugar, it might be honey, it might be golden sugar. They're all sugar and they still trigger insulin. And insulin, as we've learned, is a fat storage hormone. Also, we need to be looking for our hidden sugars. Now, hidden sugars are things like sugars that are hiding in barbecue sauce, pasta, fruit juice, all of the things we love and we crave because those are feeding our cells before we switch over to using ketones and burning our fat. MSG. MSG is hiding in so many of our packaged foods and not just your takeaway Chinese shop. It's also hiding under the name of modified food starch and it triggers your insulin. Carbs and sugar. Eating them together, i.e., a donut, yes, we love it, but you are having a double spike of insulin and your body can't use it all and it can't store that amount of sugar in one go. So it will store it as fat, but it triggers your insulin as well. So does low fat. When they take the fat out of foods and make them low fat, they replace the flavor with sugar. And the satiety level, because you're not getting the healthy fats, means that you're going to be on that blood sugar spike that we already spoke about. Snacking and frequent meals. So when they told you to do 5 meals, 6 meals, 7 meals a day, I'm sorry, but they were wrong. Every time you eat, when you have food in your stomach, even the thought of food triggers insulin release. I know, I'm sorry. But that actually sends you into storage mode as well. Like every time you think about your favorite food, you start to salivate. Let's say, I don't know, ice cream. You start to salivate, and your insulin is already rising to process, like in anticipation to process that out of your system because extra sugar is toxic. Grains, sugar. It doesn't matter what kind of grain, it's sugar. It's a complex carbohydrate, it's treated exactly the same as sugar in your system. And heavy, heavy protein. Your body actually doesn't need carbs, despite what you've been told. And I'm not against carbs, but when you eat lots and lots and lots of protein, your body can make its own glycogen or glucose out of that protein, so it will spike your insulin as well. So 3 to 6 ounces, that's about a palm size per meal, is a good place to aim for that. Low fat as opposed to low GI. Have you heard of the insulin index? That might be worth looking up because it really depends on the spike that you're going to get with your insulin as to your different kinds of foods. But a really good gauge is if it's got added sugar, if it's got more than 5 grams of carb or more than 5 ingredients per serving or on the back of the box, leave it on the shelf. That's a really great place to start, and I'll talk about portions in the next video. What are alternatives to sugars? You don't have to miss out. Some really good non-spiking blood sugar alternatives to sugar are xylitol, stevia, my favorite, erythritol, because it doesn't taste strange, although you can get some good stevias that don't taste weird anymore, and monk fruit, which you can get mostly at your supermarkets. And if the recipe calls for powdered monk fruit or powdered erythritol, you just stick it in the blender and blitz it up. Simples. You can make all kinds. Like, seriously, I have 50 recipes in my book, and a lot of them are desserts because that's what we love and crave. Maybe you're a savory. You might like to check out the parmesan or the seed crackers. I would encourage you to read your labels and look for hidden sugars. When you have healthy fat doesn't spike insulin. It has the lowest response out of any of the foods that we consume, maybe apart from water. But fat doesn't give you that blood spike. It also kicks in your satiety hormone called leptin. And leptin and ghrelin, hunger and satiety, when you can actually kick in your leptin, you can balance your ghrelin, so therefore you're on less food hunts. I will talk about that a little bit more in one of the upcoming videos though. Nature's foods are always packed together. So protein is packed with fat. There's no coincidence in that. Fat helps us transport the nutrients off to the cells and get the best nutrition out of our food possible. So where you can, eat clean, eat healthy, eat fresh. So start with the outside of the aisles and leave the processed foods on the shelves. You might like to have a look, and eventually we will get to the point where you can drop some of your food. But to start with, if you can do a little bit of intermittent fasting, you will kick your body into the most fabulous gear where it starts to burn your fat for fuel. And that can be as simple as not spiking this blood sugar over and over and over again, dropping down your snacks to where you're just having 3 meals a day and adding a bit of healthy fat to help you get from meal to meal to meal. Then starting to push out your breakfast by an hour, an hour, an hour, an hour. And if you can extend your eating window, your body starts to burn through all the stored glycogen and it will kick on over into fat burning mode. And intermittent fasting is one of the healthiest things you can do for your body because it increases the human growth hormone, which will help you age backwards. I'm all up for that. Then, if you need to really kick your body into gear, you can drop it to what's called OMAD, 1 meal a day. So today it's about 6 p.m. when I'm recording this. I actually haven't eaten because I'm not hungry. My body's burning its own fat. I've had a lot of water, I've had some pink salt, and I will go and have a really, really good, healthy, nutritious meal, and I'll cover that in just a second. It's not calorie reduction, it's food timing. There's a major difference. So when I'm doing OMAD or 1 meal a day, I'm eating all my calories in one meal, but I've done all the fasting earlier in the day, so my body's accessed what I've stored for the cold winter, and that's how our bodies were designed. If you limit your calories, your body doesn't get enough nutrition and it will slow your metabolism down because it wants to keep you alive. Like, that's its job. It's your vehicle and it wants you to survive no matter what. And ketosis is purely a matter of accessing your primeval fuel source. I'll talk more about how to do this in the next video.